Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Wasser. I'm Chief Technical Officer for the GBA, and hopefully what I'll have here is the quick elevator pitch of GBA technology. Hopefully we can gain some time back. Awesome. As I said, this is just a quick elevator pitch for GBA technology. The GBA's technical crown jewel is what's called the Government Business Blockchain Platform. And fundamentally, this is an elephant. It can be regarded as a blockchain interconnection fabric that connects public and private blockchains so that they can work together. It also is a collection of Lego-like utilities that are built on these various blockchains that are able to work together. And it's also a marketplace where people are able to access these services and products from any blockchain. And there's also a utility token so that it's possible to transmit value throughout the system and effectively be able to both pay for and receive payment for services and the like. So when I talk about next generation blockchains, I don't envision just one blockchain. What I envision are platforms of interconnected, heterogeneous blockchains, best-of-breed blockchains. Bryant mentioned enterprise-grade blockchains, but most of those enterprise-grade blockchains are optimized for very specific things. And if you try and get them to do different things, either you're going to do a lot of programming or there are going to be a lot of disadvantages because they're optimized for certain things and not for other things. Most notably, storing large amounts of data on most blockchains is a really bad idea. So I agree with Peter. Basically, you don't want to do everything, and that's one of the problems with current blockchains. EOS.IO is an awesome blockchain, but right now, anything that you want, you're almost certainly going to have to program yourself. This will change in the future, but we have to deal with the reality now. So, for the GBBP, we've been using very simple, straightforward technology. It's driven by common interfaces and standards. We're using Hyperledger Besu. What that is it's a private proof of authority Ethereum. It has the gas prices set to 0, so transactions are fundamentally free. And we can actually pay our node owners out of the revenues from being a service level provider. It's on a very simple standard Ubuntu Linux, and I'll actually give more details on that in a minute. What we have are distributed blockchains, distributed gateways to other blockchains. We have several implemented currently, and anyone who has a blockchain that you'd like for us to connect, it's actually a very simple process, and we can really do virtually anything very simply. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about atomic transactions other than the way that they're normally done on standard bridges. And of course, we can connect to oracles, other applications, and everything else.
You have monitor?
Yes, but it's small enough that I couldn't read it. Thank you, though. So as I mentioned, we have a cross-blockchain utility token that can transmit value throughout the system. Fundamentally, you can buy it with a wide variety of your local tokens. It's valued relative to Ethereum, so fundamentally you can buy or sell it with your local currency, and it can actually flow across each of the blockchains. So you buy the tokens in your native currency, send it wherever you want, and it's actually redeemable on that blockchain. So our nodes are actually these massive computers here. They cost about $100 a piece, maybe another $50 for the little memory card. They can sit in the corner somewhere. They make a little bit of noise because of the fan, but hopefully everyone recognizes the Raspberry Pi hobbyist computer. They're used for all sorts of very minor digitization of various things, but this is a very cheap entree, and we're trying to encourage as many GBA members as possible to actually participate in the network. And as I said, we actually do pay our node providers. So here's a roadmap. The GBBP has been in operation for a couple of years. We started by going through a rigorous blockchain selection process, go through a design. We initially started with Microsoft Azure and their Besu templates. We would really recommend the people not do this. There are all sorts of problems, including an obsolete version of Besu, all sorts of security problems, and everything else. We did do a number of things on there, though. We implemented the GBA token, that utility token. We made connections to the Ethereum mainnet and several of the test nets, to the Hive blockchain as well, since that's radically different. Then we moved on to Ubuntu, made life tremendously easier. And then the third version was actually to move on to the Raspberry Pi nodes. We've done an initial token distribution, and we are just about to implement an artificial intelligence cybersecurity penetration system. And I think someone will talk about that later. Hopefully, that will be in the next month or so we meet that deadline. We don't have the marketplace quite yet, but hopefully that will come last quarter this year or maybe the first quarter next year. Just for other next generation examples, there are cross-blockchain implementations, but they tend to have different disadvantages. Cosmos requires that everything be built on top of their base blockchain. Hyperledger Cactus is still under development and looks like it will be for a number of years. Polkadot is great, but you actually have to win a candle auction in order to be connected, and it's a very limited number. And Polygon is actually interesting as well, but it's only Ethereum-compatible blockchains. Currently, we're able to connect to virtually anything, and it can be of any type. We're also following a policy of let 1,000 flowers bloom. When we're connecting, we're not insisting that only one of each application be available. We actually prefer to let everyone make their product available and let the market sort it out. So when I do this, I often have a little cartoon of a stick figure with my head exploding, because these are all the projects that we're currently working on within the GBA. And if I weren't doing an elevator pitch, I could probably explain each one in great detail, but I'm trying to regain time here. So we also have a couple of passion projects of some of us. The most interesting one is a crowdsourced debate mapping system that we're trying to use to improve politics, or at least to improve public participation in politics. What we'd like to do is be able to map out what everyone has said on everything, use token curated registries to raise the best information to the top, reimburse the people who've done the most work using cryptocurrency. That includes the curators who are bringing the best content to the top. Hopefully at that point, while we won't be able to ascertain truth, what we can actually come up with is a good description of the arguments on both sides, so that people actually know, according to the record, who said what when, what some people believe, what other people believe, and the like. It's not as perfect as most of us would imagine, convincing people of the capital T truth, but it's far better than what we have currently, and of course we can tie voting into it. Just skip over the second one. And that's it. 10 minutes. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Mark. Gerard's going to come up for a quick announcement.
No, Mark, hang here for a second. So, by the way, we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude for Mark Wasser. He is, for those of you who don't know him, he's an AI genius, and he's worked tirelessly for the GBA and our technology. So, all of us owe you a huge round of appreciation. Mark, could you just tell them again, without delivering any sort of secret sauce, a little bit about the pilot project with land titling, conceptually what we're looking to do, because it's a great idea of understanding how a municipality can look at actually implementing a blockchain solution in a very sort of low-risk way.
Sure, absolutely. So, as you all know, fundamentally, blockchain is just an improvement on database in terms of being allowed, enabling people to see it from distant locations. It facilitates workflow, things of that sort. In Bogota, we're actually talking to 3 different government agencies, and it appears as if we're going to move forward with one of them. The nice thing is that they already have a digital system. And this is much more just a matter of putting the system on blockchain. What we're offering them is that we will actually roll out a Besu network that's equivalent to the core of the GBBP, and we will fundamentally just, at first, in parallel, replace their database, and then once they're comfortable, just go ahead and move it over. This is actually a very minimally costed operation. They're actually paying us slightly more than we need because they insisted on it, because otherwise governments can't take you seriously. But hopefully this does move forward. Hopefully this ends up to be a great use case that we can hold up in front of everyone for our big conference come next spring.
All right, thank you. Up next, we have Jim Liu.